Good evening, everyone. Obviously you can tell that the board is not here yet. I just want to let you know they're delayed in another meeting. Hopefully they will be here shortly. Thanks.
Test 1, 2.
We're waiting for Dr. Finity to return. He just went to get his PC, and then we'll begin the meeting. I apologize for the lateness. We just came out of another meeting. We should start shortly. That quieted everyone. Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item 1.3 is a roll call. Please note that all board members are present. Dr. Nippert went back to his car to grab some notes and will join us as soon as he comes back from his car, but all 9 are present. Agenda item number 2, there was an executive session of the board prior to this meeting, which is why we're running late. That took longer than we expected. Apologies for the lateness. Purpose of the executive session was for personnel and legal terms or legal items. Moves us to agenda item 3, public comment at each.
Jay, there was also an executive session after the CIT meeting.
Second.
There was an executive session after the CIT meeting that has to be announced.
Oh, that's right. There was also, Ashley is telling me, I need to announce that we also had an executive session after the CIT meeting, and the purpose there was also for personnel and legal advice. Moves us to public comment at each board meeting. There are 2 agenda items for public comment. The first of the 2 is for people to comment on anything that is on tonight's agenda. The reason for doing that early is that the board can hear input to the agenda or hear opinions in terms of the agenda, but it is restricted to agenda items, and we ask that any comment would be kept to 2 minutes in length per person. There is a public comment section towards the end of the agenda, and that is open to any item that people would like to raise with the board or discuss. We will come, and we'll come to that at the end of the agenda. That's also limited to 2 minutes. So this first public comment section is for anyone who has anything they'd like to address the board on any of the agenda items. Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online? No? Thank you. Moves us to agenda item 4, presentations. And we have several presentations tonight. The first one is the Lower Pottsgrove Program of Kids for Peace. And we are joined by the Lower Pottsgrove Principal, Eric Salchuk, and our ESL teacher, Jennifer Godinez. Thank you. Eric?
Good evening, everybody. Before we get started with the presentation, actually, I have 2 announcements. Duty called a little early this morning, so I had to rush out of the house before I did something important. And I just wanted to wish my wife, who is the most supporting, loving, and patient person, a happy anniversary, because, yes. She knows I love what I do, so I appreciate her grace. Secondly, I got an email yesterday from the American Student Council Association informing me that our 5th grade student leadership team was only 1 out of 47 schools nationwide to be awarded the American Student Council recipients of the ASCA Exemplary Advisor Award. These awards... In addition, our school counselors, Mrs. Susan Shannon and Miss Maddie Riley, were also recipients of the ASCA Exemplary Advisory Award. These awards are given to student councils and advisors that play an integral part in improving school culture while carrying out community service initiatives. Even though they could not be here because obviously it was very short notice, I just wanted to recognize all of the work of our student leadership and our school counselors. If we can give them a round of applause. My parents always told me never to forget the people that came before you, so I also wanted to recognize that none of this would have been possible without our original student leader advisors, who were led by Mrs. Jen Flanagan, who has since retired, Mrs. Penny Schaefer, and Mrs. Jen Godinez, who's here tonight. They all had a hand in creating our 5th grade student leadership team, so I also wanted to publicly recognize them as well. Which kind of brings us to tonight. Once we added a second school counselor at Lower Pottsgrove Elementary, Mrs. Schaefer and Mrs. Godinez kind of shifted their focuses with extracurricular activities, which kind of worked out well because Ms. Godinez kind of fell in love with becoming a school club advisor. Ms. Godinez came to me this summer with a club idea that aligns with our school mission in creating a nurturing and welcoming environment for our students. Our presentation tonight is to showcase the work of Lower Pottsgrove Elementary's newest club, Kids for Peace. So I'd like to welcome the individual who planted this seed and made this vision come to fruition, Mrs. Jen Godinez.
To join me, and I had an overwhelming response, so I was really excited about that. So these are some of my friends that are here to help me present. For as long as I have been the ESL specialist at Pottsgrove, we've always celebrated International Day of Peace in September. This year we decided to step it up a notch, and we registered to become an official chapter as a Kids for Peace school. So this is our pilot group. They've been fantastic, and we're going to share a little bit with you about what we did. So you can go ahead. I think I can see. I brought my glasses. You can go ahead to the next slide. So this, Marley can hand that out to everybody. We registered to become an official, I can't. See if I can see. Can I read it on your screen too? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So the mission of Kids for Peace is to uplift the world through love and action. So what we are trying to teach the kids is putting actions with their words. So if you can go to the next one. The mission is building a global community of kind, compassionate, and empowered young people who are uplifting the world through love and action. And the next one, The vision for Kids for Peace is a safe and peaceful world where all people respect and care for each other and our planet. Kids for Peace serves as a model and an inspiration for creating this reality with children leading the way, not only for today, but for generations to come. Go ahead. And here's our crew. The cool part about this group is we got 13 kids. Among our 13 kids, they met every week for an hour after school. Among them, there are 4 languages spoken. We have Spanish, Arabic, Vietnamese, and English, and at any given time, they were conversing with Google Translate. They were using sometimes no words at all, just doing all the projects together. Everything we did was mostly through actions. The mission and the projects is for the kids to serve their communities, practice kindness, use their voice for good, and they are changing the world. So the program is based on a peace pledge, and there are 5 statements in the peace pledge that the kids, the projects all are surrounded around the 5 statements of putting things into action. 2, so 2 is going to bring around the, 2 is bringing around the peace pledge. And if you could go ahead. This shows the kids working. So one of the statements is, I pledge to use my words to speak in a kind way. I pledge to help others as I go about my day. I pledge to take care of our earth with my healing heart and hands. I pledge to respect people in each and every land. I pledge to join together as we unite big and small. I pledge to do my part to create peace for one and all. And we started the very first week talking to the kids about what the pledge was, and then we moved on to our projects. So the first project we took on was the Love for LA project. And the headquarters out in California piloted this program to support all of the schools that were affected by the fires. The idea behind the project was that we were with them every step of the way. So they asked for socks for all of the adults and children that were affected by, in all of the school communities that were affected by the fires. There were several schools that were completely lost. And as a result, we reached out, we first participated within our school. The kids made the notes and the messages. We reached out to our Pottsgrove family to ask for sock donations. We collected 125 pairs of socks from Lower, and the kids handwrote 204 messages. We sent everything to California, and the Love for LA project ended up receiving donations from 33 states, 40,000 pairs of socks, 15,000 handwritten messages and notes, and it required Kids for Peace to come up with a 15-foot U-Haul to deliver all of the donations. So it was pretty cool that we got to be a part of something that large. So that was cool. And we even had, these kids asked for supplies to take home. They wrote notes with their families. They really, these kids make me proud. All right, so next one. The next thing we did is a project called Piece of My Heart. The idea behind this is that the kids use their words to start a ripple effect of kindness and share a message with anyone they may meet anywhere, in a grocery store, at school, anywhere. We had them make signs and spread them all over the school with the hope that that message might just be something that somebody needed to read that day. Before we leave today, the kids have messages to share with everyone. Our hope is that you'll keep it for yourself or you'll pass it on to somebody else that needs it. Go ahead. So those are some examples of things the kids made. The next thing we did was a Great Kindness Challenge. That is on the back of your Peace Pledge, and it shows ideas for what we challenged the kids to do. Something as simple as challenging yourself to smile at 25 people. the kids got really into this, and they were trying to do it like before they even got out of dismissal. They're like, I got 25. So that was really cool, trying to teach them that just one act of kindness can create a ripple effect. Go ahead. And this is our last project that took us a couple weeks to work on. From a distance, the next one will show you a little bit closer. It says, "Together we grow." This is a huge bulletin board in the lobby of Lower. All of the little petals, it really looks kind of like the seeds of a dandelion. Those are all handprints that these kids started with plain white paper, and they painted everything in whatever kind of unique design they wanted. Then they traced all their hands, then they cut them all out. Then we stapled a lot. Like this project, it took a lot longer than it did in my brain. So I'll just put that out there. But it's up there now. It says, "Together we grow." It fits in with our Earth Day theme and is staying up for the art show to show that for everybody. And one more, I think it shows, there's the name of our crew. There's all of our kids that were with us. And the next one, just the statement that we're teaching these kids to be the change that they want to see in the world. And, are you going to talk? And a couple of my friends are going to say what their favorite part is about their favorite thing they got to do, and then they have some pieces of their heart to hand out to you guys. So thank you. So go ahead, say, "My name is Blythe," and what was your favorite?
My name is Blythe, and my favorite part of Kids for Peace was sending socks to LA for people who lost their homes. My name is Christopher, and my favorite thing is making up posters and putting up in the wall. My name is Marley, and my favorite thing was to make the hands for the flower for the bulletin board.
My name is Ryder, and I enjoyed hanging up the signs.
It's okay. Do you want to go? I'm proud of you. Say, "My name is Two."
My name is Two, and my favorite is the jaw, like the house and flower.
Say your name.
My name's Fiona, and my favorite part was painting.
Thank you, guys. Anybody you want. This way, that way, anywhere you want. Hand them all out. You want to go that way? Thank you.
Thank you, students. I applaud you. We applaud you. You're working on the right stuff. Being a child of the 60s, I grew up where there were a lot of peace signs being thrown around, and there was this hope for peace. In fact, I read several months ago, there was one of my favorite songwriters, Jesse Cullen Young, passed away, but he was known for writing this song that said, "Come on, people, now smile on your brother. Everybody get together and try and love one another right now." Kind of makes you wonder when you watch the news each day why something so simple is so difficult. We could all use a little more love. Thank you, kids. The second presentation is from our music department, and we have Kristen Hyde here to talk about and to honor students who participated in the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association and other music honor programs. Kristen?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having the music department here. We're really excited. My name's Kristen Hyde. I am the coordinator for the music department for the district. I teach at Lower, teaching band and orchestra. So we wanted to take a moment to not only honor all of the students in all of our performing ensembles. We have a really great, thriving program that is growing bigger and bigger. But we wanted to take a moment to honor the students in various ensembles who went the extra step. These are students that practiced at their houses. They had to audition. They had to be selected for ensembles outside of groups and their usual ensembles in the school district. So this is outside organizations. You're gonna hear the words PMEA. That is the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association. That is the highest level of playing that students can get to in the state of Pennsylvania. They do a lot with in-service for educators. It's a really, really wonderful organization. So you will hear that. So we're gonna start with our students that participated in String Fest. So it is called PMEA String Fest. It's a one-day festival for students at the elementary and middle school levels. We had a 5th and 6th grade group. We had a 7th and 8th grade group. We select these students. Well, they're nominated. They're selected. They are given music that is a level above what they're currently playing in their own ensembles. Work on it by themselves, and then they come together for a one-day festival with students from around Bucks and Montgomery County. There were 13 different school districts. There were 200 kids participating, and they spend the full day. It's a long day for them, but they spend a full day working with a guest conductor, so they don't have to listen to us all day. They get to experience someone else, and it's a really, really great experience for them. So first, we're going to call up String Fest students. We're going to start with our 5th and 6th grade group. So, do you want them all to, can they just all come up at once? Okay, String Fest, come up here. We're just going to stand up here and I'm gonna read all of the names. Go up front, go up front there. All right, so in 5th and 6th grade, we have Avery McCandless, Victoria Otero, Ella Sicker McGinley, Cassie Arcia, Abby Zaccarda, Priyanne Cherry, Tim Ebert, Lambert Liebel, Stephanie Winters. That is our 5th and 6th grade ensemble. And then, oh, sure. And we will not have all of our students from all of the ensemble because, you know, there's a million things going on at once as per usual in April. All right, then there's a 7th and 8th grade group. Stay there. You get to hang out there for a moment. Then we have 7th and 8th grade, Sophie Vazikas, Milena Meeker, Addison Fedoroff, come on up guys, Zach Ebert, Emily Hendrzak, Georgia Romano, and Elliot Varga. Yeah, just go up next to them. All right, so this was our group that participated in String Fest. All right, next up on the list, Ben Hayes is going to introduce our students in the middle school from Intercounty Band.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask all the inter-county students awkwardly come up here. We won't look at you. These are some of the inter-county students. I think we have 6 here tonight. Yep, 6 of the 11. Inter-county is a festival that's been going on, started in Pottstown School District in 1957, and the festival's been going on every year since then. It's 11 local school districts that combine, bring their absolute best 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and this year we were able to bring 11 students along. They only have 3 rehearsals to put together this fabulous concert, and it was really well programmed this year. So the students are Mackenzie Stock, who is here tonight, Adriana Shadle, Maddie Deal, Evelyn Bortner, Elias Beal, Ethan Kinzel, Brock Nichols, Ella Connor, Kara Harner, Luke Curlin, and Avery Ruiz Brown. Good job, guys.
Okay, all right. Next up is Will Einhorn, and he is going to introduce Montgomery County Honors Orchestra.
Right up front, and then you'll move off to the side. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before you are 8 high school members of the Montgomery County Honors Orchestra. This year, 8 of our students, along with orchestra members from 11 other high schools in Montgomery County, spent really the first 3 months of school traveling to Upper Moreland High School, that's about an hour and 20 minutes away, to work and perform a concert under guest conductor Jack Moore, who conducts the Ambler Symphony Orchestra. This is a group made up of the top orchestra musicians in Montgomery County. Like I said, there are 11 schools. This festival has been going on since 1999, and outside of this festival, many of our students in the high school orchestra are also participants in many other activities besides the orchestra, including things like working, marching band. They balance their schoolwork, workloads, and still are able to perform with this group. They had about 5 rehearsals all in the afternoon, including 1 all-day rehearsal to put this concert together. So it's a lot of hard work, and especially for the distance that we had to travel. Next year, the orchestra will be performing at Perkins Valley High School, so it's a much shorter distance, which makes all of our kids and all of us very happy for the distance. And we are actually set and hopeful to host the festival again in 2 years here at Pottsgrove. So I'd like to introduce to all of you Emily Gomez, Angelina Bechtel, Evelyn Engelman, Juliana Langton, Ivania Hatley, Lindsay Palmer, Kelsey Renner, and Natalie Shovelton. These are the Montgomery Honors Orchestra members.
All right, next we have Amy McMahon, our high school choir director.
Hello, everyone. I think you might know me. I've been here a couple times, but I'm Amy McMahon. I'm the choir director here at the high school. Right here in the front, we have all but one of our Pottsgrove High School Chamber Choir, the winners of the B101 Christmas Choir Competition. So these guys have worked tirelessly all year. They really meld together. They do a fantastic job. It was really cool to see the community and the schools come together to support these kids, to support what they do best. And it was really cool to experience. We got to go into Philadelphia and see the radio station, and that was pretty cool, right? Who was there? What football player? Oh, Jason Kelsey was there. They were all excited. And then they got to perform at the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert. We did like a pre-game show kind of thing, or pre-show, whatever. I'm tired. So yeah, that was really cool. So let me announce those names. We have Savannah Van Horn, Haley Harner, Maren Campbell, Emily Gomez, Maggie Tisi, who's in Costa Rica, Lindsay Palmer, Alexis Kummerer, Lauren Hauk, Kelsey Renner, Ray Gray, Christian Rivera, Ethan Chambers, and Darian Horton. So congratulations to you guys. Okay, and I'm not done. So then, if you were in PMEA, can you scoot forward? And then my chambers that didn't do PMEA, just scoot back. So now in the front, we had the honor of hosting PMEA District Choir here. I was here talking to the board. Oh gosh, was it before the new year? Talking about how the festival works. I have a whole thing written out, but basically the gist is there's like 300 kids that audition across Bucks and Montgomery County. They only take the top 120, 150 kids, and they are supposed to rehearse for 3 days. They put a concert on at the end, unless it snows like it did here, and then it turns into a 1.5 day festival. But it was fun. It's very competitive, and it's a really big honor to be a part of that. So we had a slew of members this year. We had Savannah Van Horn, Haley Harner, Marin Campbell, Emily Gomez, Lindsay Palmer, Kelsey Renner, Ray Gray, Ethan Chambers, and Christian Rivera. And while they're getting their picture taken, and then from there, they actually do a re-audition at district choir, and they take the top, the top 10 from each voice parts, and they move on to what's called region choir, which includes basically the entire southeastern Pennsylvania area. And we actually had 3 of our people move on, which is a huge deal. We had Ray Gray, Ethan Chambers, and Haley Harner. So if you 3 want to move up. Yay. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, tall people in the back. One more. All right. And now we have Ms. Ellie Zarafus, our high school band director.
On? Now it's on. Okay. All right. So hello, my name is Ellie Zarafis. I'm the band director here at Pottsgrove, and I'm going to piggyback off of Miss McMahon and the amazing choir. We have a similar thing happening in the band world with PMEA, district, region, and state band. So these students practice and audition excerpts for district band. When do you guys usually start? Practicing. In the summer. So these kids practice from the summer until auditions happen in November, end of November, beginning of December, to work on their skill set for district band auditions. They only accept for the trumpet section out of everybody in Montgomery County. They only accepted, I think, 17 this year. So 17 trumpets out of 85, maybe 90 that go through auditions within the county are accepted. And Vanya Hatley and Andrew Alessi made it into district band. From then on, they continue to audition, and the slots get even tighter. So Andy actually made it from districts to regions and then to states. So he made it all the way to PMEA state. He performed last week at the Kalahari, and and he's a junior, so we have not had a junior make it into states in at least the last 6 years that I've been here. So it's just a testament to show how hard these students work to get into these ensembles and how difficult it is to be able to be a part of that, especially in Montgomery County. I think we're in District 11. That is the hardest district to get into. It is cutthroat because of the city of Philadelphia. Those students and the resources they have there, most of those kids take numerous years of private lessons. So it is a testament to be able to fight to the top and to make it, whether you make it into district band or all the way up to states, it is cutthroat. And that goes for all of these kids that have participated in and performed in PMEA district, region, and state level ensembles. So congratulations to all of our PMEA people, but specifically speaking for band, Ivania and Andy.
Okay, so Is it on? To wrap up, we just want to say thank you for having us tonight. We're really, really proud of our students across all levels in our district. We couldn't be prouder of your hard work and dedication, and we can't wait to see where music takes you in the future. So congratulations, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, students. Many people leave. If you could wait for one more presentation, we'd like you to hear this next presentation on a community effort we do. So if you could stay in the room, since we're trying to get greater community involvement. If you need to go, we understand. First, congratulations to each of the students. It is nice to see such a small district have such a robust music program led by really talented music educators. Don't know if you know it in the room or not, but kids that are involved in music score a half a point to 3/4 of a point higher in grade point average than students not involved in music. And this is exactly why I told my father for many, many years that we should invest in more drums for my drum set. I kept telling him, if you just put more money into my drums, you'll have a smarter son. He kind of listened. Moving on, the next presentation is on a community program that's a bit of an alliteration, one goal, one grove, one goal. A goal that the board's been working on for years is to increase community involvement. The Pottsgrove community, the blessing is also a curse. We have a small community that tends to stay very quiet. As we look at what the school is doing, and you just saw the number of students here involved in music, we think we have a good story to tell to the community, and they deserve to see where their tax dollars are going. So we've been working and trying to get more people to come in and become involved in the Pottsgrove schools and become involved with the community so that they can see their tax dollars at work. Our assistant principal for the middle school, Tom Freevert, has been working on a program called One Grove, One Goal, which is on May 2nd, which is coming up, is that next week? Or in 2 weeks? At 6 p.m. at the middle school, and Tom's going to talk about that program. And I encourage you, as you hear this stuff, reach out to your friends and neighbors and try and get them to attend, to come. We're trying to increase community involvement.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Mr. Freevert has a family matter that he's dealing with, but Mr. Palladino, our principal at middle school, is kind enough to step in and share the work that they've all been doing.
All right, so first off, thank you, and hopefully everybody had a great spring break. Happy Easter to everybody. I'm kind of here tonight on behalf of my assistant principal, Tom Freevert. As Dr. Finnerty said, unfortunately, he's not able to be here. But I do want to share a little bit about this event that we have planned here. Over the course of, I really want to say, this kind of came to fruition last spring, and we've kind of gotten some legs with this event within the start of the new year. So as you had mentioned, this is going to be called our One Grove, One Goal event. This is going to take place next Friday, May 2nd, at Pottsgrove Middle School. It's going to take place from 6 to 8 p.m. This is sort of the first year that we're trying to put an event like this together. So as we do this, our goal is to learn to make it better. But at the same time, we are happy with the accomplishment that it has already cemented itself to be. So when we originally came up with this idea, we reached out to about 65 different vendors in the Pottsgrove, Pottstown area. We currently have 38 participants that have come aboard, some of which are members of our own Pottsgrove school community here that are going to put up tables. And so just to recognize some of them here, and I'm not going to go through the list of all 38 that we currently have. We do have Camp Invention. We do have Montgomery County Community College. Joe Cerisi has reached out, and he's going to have a representative there. We have some representatives from the school, as in the Pottsgrove Recreation, the Pottsgrove Village, We also have the Pottstown Rotary, and this is just to name a few. And we're still looking for this group to grow. So if any way this plug reaches anybody that would like to participate in that, there's certainly contact information that we are going to blast out after this announcement today as well. With that being said, we are in need of volunteers for the event. We do have a number of volunteers for the event already, but we are going to be in need of a lot more. As far as what those volunteers will be doing, we will put you to work for the 2 hours that are there, even if it involves, setting up and breaking down. But we do have some activities planned, not only from the school itself, but there are some other businesses that have activities. Concessions will be available for this event. Ringing Rocks PTA is going to allow us to have a popcorn machine there. We've partnered with our own PTA so that we could make some pieces of this event possible. We will have some entertainment. A DJ has signed up to be there. Our art teacher at the school, as well as some of her students with the art club, are going to be there painting faces. We're going to have some games set up, including a basketball shootout and different yard games. We'll have Jenga, Connect Four. We'll have some, cornhole, things of that nature. And then some of our vendors even signed up to have different events there. So again, without going into all the details of it, King Street Kickboxing is going to have demonstrations there. Upper Pottsgrove Fire and Police Department are going to have vehicles for the kids to explore. Ringing Rocks and Lower Pottsgrove PBIS is planning on putting together a trivia game. Our Pottsgrove Falcon will be at the event there for taking pictures and joining in on the fun. And we do have a list of door prizes already that have been donated. So just to recognize a few of those. Crayola Factory has given us some tickets to give away. Shipley Energy has given us a $100 account credit and some swag to give away. The Reading Royals have given us 4 tickets, and Longwood Gardens gave us some tickets to give away as well. And this is just to name a few. Again, the goal of this event, as you eloquently stated here, is we want to try to bring that community together along with our school, okay? I think a lot of that also gets lost in the shuffle a lot of times, that, it always goes back to that, the old adage that it takes a village to build a student. And we do believe that is definitely the case, where we need as many hands on deck and as many representatives from the community to be there so that we can, shape our students to be everything that we want them to become. So we're looking for this program to grow. All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you have any questions? Go right ahead.
I did. First of all, is this inside or outside?
Right now we're planning on doing a hybrid of both, but obviously if the weather dictates it's an out or an indoor event, then we have to move it all indoors. But yeah,
And parking?
Parking is going to be at the middle school. We will section off a part of the parking lot that won't be able to be parked at, but at that same token, we should be able to, I would say, service a lot of the cars that are going to come up into the upper parking lot. If we have to start directing cars to the lower, we will. It is next Friday, May 2nd, from 6 to 8 p.m.
And is this geared mostly for middle school age?
So really, this started off as a middle school event. Like, we were planning on doing this as a school. And like I said, the event grew legs. The more people that learned about it, the more people within the district wanted to be a part of it. So not only did we start as a committee at the middle school, but then this turned into sort of a district-wide initiative where other, members from different schools, the elementaries and the high school, have come about with it. The goal in this case would be to gain so much traction that this becomes maybe something that we do annually or biannually and host it over at different schools throughout the course of the year. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, guys.
Bring your parents. We're trying to get more grandparents involved here too. They should see what's going on in the school. Our communities, we have more and more older people living in the community. It's important that they see what's going on. It's helpful. I know it's important. It's important to me. I think it's helpful for them to see what's going on in the schools. Steve, thank you. We had a 4th presentation scheduled tonight. Our students in Pottsgrove who go to the Western Montgomery Technical Center or Technology Center, many of them are involved in a club called HOSA, which is Future Health Professionals of America. There was just recently a state conference, and we had 5 Pottsgrove students receive awards at the state conference in their different things. We were hoping to have them here tonight. For a variety of reasons, it did not work out, and we're moving that presentation to our May 13 board meeting. But the 5 students were Marley Flannery, Zach Strunk, Alicia Cranford, Kenesha Alexandra, and Gabriel Fluence. We hope to have them here next time to honor them and the work that they're doing in their health profession areas. So that moves us to the fourth and final presentation of this list of presentations, and our business administrator, Mr. Ron Linke, is going to at least introduce us, and then we'll have a discussion here around the 25-26 Pottsgrove School District budget. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Strunk. Good evening, everyone. So tonight we're going to give you an update about the 25-26 budget since we've last discussed it on, I believe it was March 25th. At the March 25th meeting, if I recall correctly, the deficit was a little over $4 million. I went to work after that meeting and had a meeting with Dr. Finnerty to discuss further what we need to do to address the budget deficit. At that time, when I met with Dr. Finnerty, we got a deficit down to $3 million, a little over $3 million, or a 6.76% tax increase at that point. So Dr. Finnerty, myself, and then the rest of the administrative team came up with a list of items that could potentially help to reduce the budget. So on that slide, it's up on the screen there, is the list of items that we came up with was to help reduce the budget, either reduction in expenses or enhancing some revenue estimates. So on the first on the item on the list here, we tried to put the list in ease of priority, less pain, I should say, easiest to remove from the budget. The first one being is the floating administrator, which equates to about $233,000. Then most of these items on this list are new asks for the budget, nothing that's been taken out from prior years. The special education teacher at Lower was an ask for this year. Right now we have it as being removed from the budget. We have middle school French, which we've been struggling to get that up and running with a sustainable person to be in that position. So right now it's on the list to be removed out of the budget. Talking with Daniel in the curriculum department, we can probably survive another year without the science and world language curriculum renewal. That's about $355,000. Working with Anne Marie, looking at her estimate for any additional students that may be placed outside the district. We reduced that by $100,000 just to free up some dollars, but again, that comes with some caution. Looking at contracted psych dollars, I reduced it by $100,000, but I think I misunderstood what Anne Marie was talking about, so I have to go back and meet with her about that real quick. But we reduced that by $100,000. Again, that's an estimate. If we wind up needing more of that, we'll have to incur those costs. Looking at reducing the REACH counselor by 1 and the drug and alcohol counselor, that was the new ask for this year. We had other budget adjustments. That's the adjustments I've made from the time we met in March 25th to the time I met with Dr. Finnerty. Recommending removing 1 bus from the general fund and switching it to the capital reserve for next school year. That'll be 5 buses then from the capital reserve. The 4 are probably going to get delivered sometime this week that we just approved, I think the last meeting or the meeting before. And then we increased our state subsidies to the governor's proposal, which gave us another $200,000 about revenue. And the transition coordinator / special education teacher at the high school, which was a new ask for next year as well. With all those items removed and enhancing of the revenue, we got the deficit down to be $906,000 or a 2% tax increase at the moment. So I'm going to invite Anne Marie and Daniel up here to discuss further what the ramifications may mean if we remove these items from the budget.
Good evening, everyone. So as Mr. Linky said, our goal tonight was to put these in order, if you will, of those items that would be least disruptive. That does not mean that they're not impactful or important. They absolutely are. But again, if we can be least disruptive, where can we make some of those decisions? So I just said that, and I put curriculum at the top of the list. In all seriousness, we actually went through this a couple weeks ago when we presented the curriculum budget. We talked about doing science and world language at that time. As you all know, we're on a curriculum renewal cycle. We attempt to maintain that curriculum renewal cycle, because if we fall outside of that in a bad way, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute, it can be impactful in that we might have teachers implementing more than one new resource in a particular year. We might all have to find a way to pay for that in one particular year. We don't want to do that because it does put a strain on the system. However, in looking at what's currently going on in curriculum, I actually went to Dr. Finnerty pretty early and said, if we have to, we can postpone or delay what we're doing with science. And here's my rationale for that. Number one, we do have new science standards that all of our educators and ultimately our students are going to be held accountable to. And that's really across the state. That means we have some work to do in terms of pacing, in terms of making sure our teachers are really have a full understanding of what those standards mean. In fact, on the staff development day last week, our secondary teachers had a whole day of learning just about that. That work needs to happen regardless of us putting any new resource into place anyways. So what we do already have in place is our existing science programming that we've had in place for 6 years or so. So with the introduction of the new standards, we can sustain another year with those resources we already have in place. There's a small cost to that in that some of our licensing for some of the programs that we're using does run out. So that's why you see me retaining that $90,000 there. That's really to re-up, if you will, our licensing that needs to be in place for those existing programs. A couple minutes ago, I said I want to make sure that we don't fall out of our curriculum renewal guide here. So I put some information up for you so that you would understand the impact of this. We're currently in year 3 of a 6-year curriculum renewal with our ELA resources. So that means they're relatively new and we have more time left on all that licensing that we've already paid for. Our math, we're currently in year 2 of 6, and those are K-12 really resources. So that means that we can leave those as they are. We can do our science and world language curriculum renewal for implementation in 26-27, and then still be in line with our current licensing to go back into the loop with ELA and math. And by the way, of course, there's other content areas. I was just trying to get those big high money areas so that you'd be understanding of that impact there. Any questions on that slide?
So the amount, the adjusted budget amount, the 90,000 is for the new licensing, but the 380 or 355,800 would really be for like a one-time spend for the new books or?
So I should have explained that, but that's my fault, Mr. Lappick. So originally in our curriculum budget, we had budgeted $455,800, and that's inclusive of all resources that we might be purchasing if we were to go to a different resource, K-12. What we're doing is taking the $355,800 out to say, okay, we can go one more year without those resources. The $90,000 is what I'm retaining in my budget to continue with that existing licensing. And I should have explained that because every slide is set up like that, so my apologies for that. Any other questions on that slide? Okay.
So if we did go that route, I just want to clarify this, then next year is no holds barred, those two need to be renewed for the 26.
If we were to delay anything after next year, then we start interrupting the overall curriculum schedule, and then I begin to worry about how do we pay for it, how do we train teachers. It's pretty impactful at that point.
Okay.
But for next year, I would feel confident that we'd be okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's correct. Yes. Correct, right. Next, please, Chrissy. So the next item on the list, and you know this is our floating administrator, this is Mrs. Terry Kohler, so that's why I began off saying that this isn't important or impactful. However, as we were looking at it, one of the things that we were hoping that the floating administrator would do primarily is really get the pre-K counts program, up and running. She's been quite successful in doing that work. So we're putting on the table that will be something that we could eliminate as we move into next year. The impact for that, of course, is there's a reduction in administrative support. The wonderful thing about having Mrs. Kohler this year in particular is she's been able to step into a critical position to support coverages of buildings. So cannot thank her enough for her work there. And then, of course, we need to consider how are we going to continue with supervision of pre-K counts. We already have some ideas for that, but we can move forward and plan from there. Questions on that slide? Okay. The next, you heard Mr. Linke talk about middle school French. So we currently offer German, French, and Spanish, and our students at the middle level begin with an exploratory program in which they get an introduction to each of those particular world languages. It's been incredibly difficult to staff that position. There's not a lot of French teachers out there, so it's incredibly difficult to find them and sustain them. This year in particular, there hasn't been fantastic programming on this front because of our difficulty in staffing that particular position. So since we've dealt with that this year, we put this item up there in kind of pulling away from that exploratory piece, not across the board. We would retain the Spanish and the German piece. What are the impacts of that beyond the obvious? Part of the exploratory program is to introduce kids to all the languages. So if you reduce one of them, part of it is a recruitment process. So there's a potential for that recruitment process to be interrupted. And that would leave us with exploratory at the middle school for Spanish and German. Questions on that slide? And that's the cost up there is really the cost of a salary and benefits.
So is the plan then to eventually remove French from the high school since you're going to have the recruitment, as you put it, go down? Because we'll be dropping AP French because we won't have fifth-year students.
So we didn't play it all the way out, Mr. Lapiquette, and I'm reluctant to say that really we have not had the conversation about just moving away from French entirely, but at this point in time, this was something that we said, okay, it's not in place already this year due to the some of the difficulties that we've had there. But long-term sustainability, we would have to talk about that.
Certified teacher, or is there some other?
Well, I think sustainability of the program, if we have somebody at the middle level who's introducing it. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't find other ways to recruit for the French program. There's other ways in which we can get that done. It would just mean that we don't have an actual class there for French. I heard a beep, but I...
Yeah. So just to be clear, the biggest obstacle at this time is just the lack of being able to find a certified instructor at that level?
That's accurate. So I think that concludes my pieces, but Dr. Lucas has a few more slides to go through.
Yes. Next slide. Okay. So from a pupil services lens, and I think this was stressed, again, none of these are highly recommended, especially by me, but they are something to be considered, and we're kind of going in order here. So one of the first ones to talk about is out-of-district placements. Now, a lot of my budget does involve variables that we can't always foresee or know, so we have to plan for the unexpected, and some of that is out-of-district placements, either kids that move into us from out of district or somewhere else and might need, or they're with us and then they need more than we can provide here, and we have to look at alternative education options for them. So I share that with you because on this slide, I usually, pad a little bit, expecting how many kids might need that placement that I don't even know exist yet. So if you look at the last part of this slide, really look at the impact area. So I had in the original budget $250,000 set aside for secondary, and you may all think, wow, that's really high. But it's actually not. Some placements can run anywhere from $40,000, that's a low-end placement, to $150,000 a student, all depending upon the different services and supports that might go along with it. So there's a lot of variables at play when we look at this allotment of monies, and so I took $50,000 from each area. So then for elementary, I had budgeted, set aside about $150,000 or $200,000, and now with this reduction in place, it's at $150,000 for the kids that we just don't know what they might need. All other kids who are currently in placements, et cetera, that they are planned for. And it doesn't mean that students won't go now because we've reduced this amount of money. It just means if we get to that point and we're over budget, we pull it, from our reserves. So we will have to pay for it if it's needed. So that's what this cost is. Any questions? Okay, next slide. Somewhat similar, but not completely. This is contracted school psychologists. So we do have in-district school psychologists in each of our buildings who evaluate students. And as many of you are familiar, it's all mandated by the law. There are compliance timelines to this through the Individuals with Disability Education Act, as well as Chapter 14 of Special Education Law here in Pennsylvania. So we have very tight timelines and we have to complete them. And we sometimes find ourselves, especially at certain times of year, where there's only so much a site can handle, so we have to contract them out, we say, and assign these evaluations for other contractors to complete. This year, uniquely as well, we ended up having a leave that one of our in-district psychs had to take, so I had to actually rely on the contractors to actually complete those evaluations as well. So again, it's one of those areas you never know what you're going to have happen, and you have to kind of plan for. So we did still plan for this amount of money in the budget, but we've reduced it. And we've reduced it by $60,000. So I have 2 contracted school psychs right now. I reduced by $30,000 and then another $30,000 for the other individual. They also have to complete, so you're all aware, like early intervention evals. So it's not just students that are with us now, but those who are going to be with us. And as well as our non-pub students. So not everybody understands that either, but you get a request for testing and a student's at, say one of the Catholic schools in the area or other, non-district schools, we have to evaluate them as well. So that's what this reduction is. So it doesn't impact any of our current staff, but really just, making sure we're getting our evaluations done on time. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I know you had mentioned that obviously you reduced this number, and the number is somewhat fluid because you can't always, know with certainty the number of evaluations. How does the reduced or adjusted number, I'll say, compare to, let's say, your average spend over the last couple of years? Like, what I'm trying to gauge is the likelihood that we would exceed that, approximate likelihood we could exceed that number.
So I don't have an average right now for you, just because there was many outliers this year too. So I could pull this year, but again, because I had a leave of absence, I can't even account for that because she had to do so many more just picking up on this person's leave. But I could certainly pull from years previous. I do think I put a whole lot more in just not knowing what to expect, because you never do know what to expect. But we could certainly do that analysis. But I would say, again, like last year or this current year is not a good litmus test of it. So I'd want to pull at least 2 years. So we could do that. Sure. Any other questions? I don't think the next one is me. Music. It's music.
The next one I have is the instructional
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at my, sorry. I'm looking at my version. This is me, okay. So this was a new ask. I think we explained that at the beginning of tonight, but this was one of the new ask positions. In an effort to build a continuum of special ed services, we're really looking at strategically potentially bringing in another special ed teacher who would have a caseload at Lower Pottsgrove Elementary School. They would be providing emotional support services to students. We wanted to really divide the classroom up. Right now, it's kind of it's kind of a mix of both internalizing and externalizing behavior needs. So we felt that if we divided the classroom up, we might be able to better service students, within the continuum of their support needs. We are not over the full-time equivalents or the required caseload max for Lower, so cutting this position isn't going to put us into a compliance issue with the state, which can be a concern. But this was in an effort to kind of, some of the data we've shared with you all too, as far as increasing numbers of behavior and other things, a way in which to address that from the special ed lens by adding this additional teacher. So what you're seeing here is the cut of a full new ask of a position. And it really was supposed to additionally help with what we've done at middle and the high school, where we've created kind of a continuum there for emotional support through both the Grove Academy, which runs during the day, as well as the evening academy here at the high school. So it was a way in which to kind of develop that. So this might be something we, push down the line, like we've said, for some of the other asks. Any questions about this one? Okay. Next slide. So you've heard me talk about this one as well. So this was again also a new ask. It would have been sought after or thought through like contracted services. We were looking to bring in a full-time drug and alcohol counselor 5 days a week at Pottsgrove High School to address some of the data we've been sharing with you all, the PAYS data, some of the things that we're seeing of our students with use of vaping and other things. This individual would come in and be able to kind of intervene. This is a tier 2, tier 3 resource though. Was not going to be a free and appropriate public education or like IDEA required through an IEP service. So it is one of those services, while not ideal, because it's definitely what we feel needed, something that we could put to you all tonight to consider as one of those cuts. But you notice it's further down on the list as I get through my list. This is one of the ones that was hard for me to put up here. But again, it's not required by law to do. Is it good for kids and probably going to help support with intervening? Yes. We are still hopeful. You'll see that last bullet point. With the team at Lincoln, we did write a grant that we may or may not get, but we may not know that until the beginning of the summer, which is, this budget has to be passed way before that. So we can't rely on grant funding.
Would that grant cover that entire position?
Yes,
Okay,
it would.
great.
We wrote it so that it would. They've been a wonderful partner and actually reached out to me to do this, but we'll see. Correct, that's another good point. Yeah, sustainability would be a concern. That's the way grants are, yeah. Right, yes, yes. But we could get some good data to see if it's working. Yeah, that's right. Expansion.
This next slide I wanted to talk about. You've seen our music department. You've heard our music department perform here. What you haven't seen is the numbers. Our music department is growing. We have a great staff. We have a large number of kids that are showing more and more interest in participating in the program. It does have a positive effect on a lot of other aspects of the student experience, sense of belonging, academic outcomes. So I've been working with Kristen Hyde for about a year now to design a program where we can refresh some instruments. And we really do need to invest in these instruments. You'll notice that this wasn't on the first slide. This is something that we thought it was important to bring to you, but we feel it's important enough that we didn't even put it on the first slide to consider cut. It's a relatively small investment, and some of the instruments are mission critical. Like we really do. We have more kids than we have instruments. And instrumentation is part of the curriculum. Yes, it's extracurricular, but it's also part of the curriculum. So we need to be able to provide curriculum resources for kids to participate in the program. So that's what we're asking for here.
Okay. All right, so this next one, so the REACH program. So you did hear at the last CIT meeting, we did bring the REACH data and an update for the board on the REACH program, but Springfield Psychological has been working with us for the last 3 years. They're providing contracted counselors as a tier 2, tier 3 intervention to all of our K-8 buildings. There's at least one full-time individual at each building. So what you see here is a consideration to reduce by one of those counselors at a location to be determined as far as where they might share. But we would be going down from the 4 that we have now, which I think we started with 3, but we're at 4 now, down to 3 clinicians. And again, not a free and appropriate public education service, not an IDEA service, so it's not required by law in an IEP, but it's good for kids, and it's definitely an intervening service to potentially help us not have to put those other services into place. So what you're seeing on here is the cost for just one of those clinicians at $97,500. Any questions? Okay. And the last one. All right. So the last one here is an additional ask of a teacher. Again, a new position that I asked for this year, or our department asked for. It is for a special ed teacher at the high school, but they will also have the role of transition coordinator, which is something I've been very vocal about since I started here. Transition coordinator would have the role of further supporting our students through their post-12 opportunities, like exploring them and then launching to them from that special ed lens. Students who have, more complex or just needs, and they need support with that. One of the positives of this too, and we actually considered this when we put the budget together, is by adding this position, we are hopeful it's actually going to reduce our reliance on the intermediate unit and others for this type of programming, which is a high cost, which if you remember correctly, I shared that as a high cost that's been increasing our intermediate unit post-12 secondary support services. Having someone in-house to help will not only potentially reduce the cost to have an IU team member do that, but also we're looking at additionally increasing our partnerships in the local community with businesses for these students to do their jobs and apprenticeships with. So instead of going down to Norristown where the IU is located and these facilities are, they'd be able to have local jobs in this area doing that work. The other piece I have to stress about this one is there is a big concern with this one being considered because this is an IDEA FAPE required need. And whereas the emotional support teacher at the lower that I had proposed, we were not over full-time equivalents. For this position, we are. Meaning there are teachers where if we potentially don't add this position, we'll be over caseload limits or required maximums. And then we will have to petition to the state or the Commonwealth to ask them for an exception that also has to be publicly shared, et cetera. So there's some implications for this one as well. While it's a new position, we truly need to look at, bringing on another special ed teacher so they can support with the caseload alleviation that needs to occur. And, what this person will do is going to be very positive for the district and the students that they serve. So is there any questions about this one?
Just curiosity, for someone with a transition coordinator, is that a special training or is it just a skill set that they bring because they've done it before?
That would be what we look for, is someone with that skill set, but no, it doesn't require a special certificate. They'll definitely need to have a special ed teaching certificate though, but finding someone with the experience, bonus. It is. It is.
No, I just wasn't sure what the.
Yeah, the engagement with community partners is very unique, so you have to be able to do that.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. I think that's the last one? Yes.
So the last,
You're more than welcome.
okay, so the last slide talks about next steps. So like every school board across the Commonwealth, we have some difficult decisions to make. So tonight, what we're asking you to do is to vote on our proposed final budget that does not become the final budget, but that's the proposed final budget, and then we continue to make adjustments. And the other thing we need to have is we are a public organization, so we need to have a public discussion of clear direction for the administration on where you want us to bring in the final budget, so that Ron and his team and all of us together can kind of work towards that final budget. And then lastly, we have to continue to evaluate the budget. There could be retirements, resignations that we look at. We also have to be fair, as we have done over the last few years. We have to look at how enrollment is tracking and that we're suitably staffed in every building. There's been years when we have collapsed, and there's also been years when we added staff or we've added specialists. So these are the things that we have to do as an administrative team to make sure that all of our buildings are appropriately staffed and staffed in the right way to be successful. So that's, yes, sir.
I did a question. We went over, give me a second here. Here we go. Left-handed easier. Over all the deductions, with the exception of the one that you'd mentioned, Ron, that you had spoken, you'd gone to, to ask afterwards to where that 417,771. Can we get, just to get some idea of what are we, is it a whole bunch of $5,000 and $10,000 items, like extra pencil sharpeners, or what?
We've cut out people who are no longer here anymore over in the budget. Remember, I put the budget together within a week. I hadn't had a chance to even really dig into it yet. Yes. So I removed some people. What else did I do? Oh, sorry. My bad. There were some budgeting errors where, when we first presented the budget, pre-K counts was not in the budget yet. So it's ups and downs that make up that $440,000 number.
Just to try to get some ideas.
Yeah.
So I do have a suggestion on where we start. Administration has presented budget to us now based on programs, with ins, out, and cost of different programs. We could start there and debate programs, and each of us are likely to have certain programs we advocate and ones that are less important, and there may be 9 differences there. Another place to start is with answering the question, or trying to reach consensus on the question, what is the real estate tax increase that we, as the 9 board members here, are willing to support? And my understanding, I'm going back over this, if everything was all in from the budget, we were looking at 8.13, which is more than we're allowed by law. All out that you see is 2.02, so nobody's presenting a zero-based budget. By law, we are allowed to go as high as 5.3. So in essence, we're looking at some range between 202 and 5.3. If we start the discussion there of saying, what are you willing to look your constituents in the eye and say, because it takes 9 of us to support the decision, regardless of the vote, the hope is we walk away and we can all support that. What are you willing to look your constituents in the eye and say, this is the increase I'm recommending? Give that back to the administration, and then it gives them something to work on programs. We could also talk about programs here tonight, but it makes sense to me to start with bottom line, because the decision you make around programs, ultimately, if you do that and say, I like this, I like this, I like that, is going to come back to say, what's that cost us? And then we're going to somebody's going to say, well, that's too much or it's not enough. So what's our allowable limit? And I don't know if anybody wants to start that discussion, and that limit is between 202 and 5.3.
Don't we discuss this later on, though? This is just the proposed final budget. Wouldn't the discussion fall under?
Well, the discussion can be here. The vote for the final budget isn't until later in the meeting.
Wouldn't that be when we have the discussion, though?
The proposed final budget that you're going to vote on currently is at 2.02.
So including these items, I actually have.
Correct. That is the
But I mean,
proposed
we're-
final budget that is being
We're currently at
adopted.
4.5 on the, what I'm saying is that
On the agenda.
on the agenda, we're at 4.5, which is update.
Yes.
So we're not looking to vote on it yet. We will be later on this evening.
Yes.
but That's what I'm saying is, should.
I asked legal here, is this a discussion item? I was told yes, which is why I
Oh, I
proceeded.
thought the discussion would fall under
think we have too
9.5
many
under
on.
the action items for business.
You could, I'm sorry, you could do it in either place. I mean,
Okay.
you're not locked into, I mean, it's on the agenda here. We can discuss it here. There's a, and there would be the additional opportunity before the vote on the proposed final budget. So it's within your discretion.
And-
Wasn't quite
yeah.
sure. I didn't wanna-
Sorry, you
No,
mind-
go
oh,
ahead.
okay.
No, it's not a problem.
In looking back, I do have a question relating to this presentation, which, I know we're, obviously, Jay, I agree with your sentiment that we kind of need to discuss what we're comfortable with, but just looking at your, Anne Marie, or Dr. Lucas, your drug and alcohol counselor, I see that item on slide 2 being listed at, pardon me, 184.5, but, because it's, I understand, okay. Oh, it's reach, so it's reach and the counselor combined. Now I understand.
Yes.
Thank you.
No,
Okay.
clarification,
Okay. Because they're listed as two separate items here. Got it. Understood. Thank you.
Okay, so, I understand that we're voting on the proposed final budget, but I don't think we're in any position to really do much yet, because we haven't looked at retirements. We haven't looked at all of those are often numbers that tip the balance in one way or another. I'm sorry, what? What's that?
There's not many
But-
on the.
Microphone.
All right, now,
What
I
did you
pulled
say?
the report from
There aren't
Peasers to show
many?
us the list of service, and there wasn't many people close to retirement yet.
Okay, but we still have to, I mean, every year, that's a major talking point for us. And so for us to just look at cutting programs and cutting people without having that information in front of us
We
also,
haven't
I
gotten any
think is a little
retirement yet either.
premature. What's that?
We haven't gotten any retirement yet. We only
Okay.
gotten the one that you voted on tonight, or about to vote on tonight.
Okay, but often some do come in, roll in late, as we always deal with.
And that will be incorporated in the budget, but until I know them, they can't be done.
And the other thing that we do have to be conscious of, I know you know this, but I'll just bring it up, is that we have to pass the proposed final budget, and then that has to be 30 days prior to the final budget. So there is a timeline. So,
June 10th is when the final.
yeah.
It would have future discussions on what goes in the budget prior to that June meeting, correct?
There's only one more meeting, there'll be the 2 May meetings.
Yeah.
If there's any updates, I will gladly provide them.
Yeah, again, the recommendations that were presented here tonight is that administration is now looking for direction on final budget. I understand there's a vote coming up, and my reason for pushing that is I think if we could give administration a cap, they can work on that, and to Ashley's point, they can work in those retirement numbers or begin to do that. But again, we as a board have to decide, we're going to decide based on that amount increase.
I just want to say that looking at the presentation on the slide where it talks about budget considerations, there's 11 things listed there, and 5, or actually 6, because you put it on one line, all have to do with mental health and special education. And I'm not happy with that. I think we need to really consider many of the things on here. And so if we agree on a proposed budget, we can still change our minds on these. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a proposed final budget. Between now and the adoption of the final budget, you can make whatever changes you want, as long as it's a balanced budget and within the Act 1 index.
I agree with you, Anik, I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, I'm also in agreement. There are things here that, to me, it really hurts to see go, but, again, we have to decide. We have to kind of give administration a target And then also, we have to discuss programs and things as well, so.
And again, where the question is, administration's presented a budget with all these things out, and that would give us a 2.02% percentage increase. We can go as high as 5.3. So I think giving them that guidance of if we say it's not 202, it's 302, then they can figure out what that 1% increase means. Also, every percent we increase, remember, equates to about a $48 increase on a home valued at about $120,000. So a percentage increase is around $50 more per homeowner for every $120,000 value of the house.
Just keep in mind, that's an assessed value, not a market value. So
Yeah,
like,
that's
that
the
can
assessed
be very,
value.
very confusing. An assessed value is about half, tends to be about half of the market value. Right now, the market value is climbing a little higher than the halfway point of the assessed values. So if somebody in the audience is sitting there going, well, my house is, you know, on Zillow, it comes up as 350,000. That's not the number that is being looked at for this.
Yeah, the real estate agent has made a very valid point. The value, the numbers we're throwing around are assessed values. And so to say, well, it's going to raise your taxes by $48 for every 100,000, that's not right.
So a year ago, when we had this meeting, Tina led us around the room and asked everybody to say a percentage increase that they're thinking. Are we ready to do that? Yep.
Any word from the government? I mean, I know we're waiting, but we by law have to have a passed budget June, 30th, right? And we still don't know what we potentially could be getting from them. Has
That
anybody
happens
heard?
every year.
I know it's every year, but I was just hoping somebody had some insight.
Someday it'll be.
Someday, okay. Thank you for that.
And I do want to invite Ron to comment on my comment. But one of the things that we've done in presenting this budget compared to the budget that we presented at March 25th is we normally take a very conservative approach in projecting revenues. We've taken a little more of a little less conservative approach in forecasting the state funds. So we're still at our comfort level, but we're right at our comfort level.
Yeah, I wouldn't go much higher.
Is anybody willing to start and say, here's what you're thinking in terms of percent
start.
increase? Yep.
5, the index is out of the question for me. No. I would say it is out of the question. Hitting the index is out of the question. I'm going to say absolutely no more than 3, but I'd much rather see it more at 2.5 or below.
I'm in agreement with Ashley. It's pretty much exactly where my thoughts landed initially.
Yeah, I agree with Ashley, and I mean, 3% seems like a reasonable target given the data that's in front of us. It's a number that it's going to bite, but and we've got a lot of people on the board who are on fixed incomes, and we're representatives of a large chunk of the population of the township, or the townships.
Thank you. Others?
I would like to go to 2.5. It's like my goal. No more than 3.
I say 3.
That is 5 people saying between 2.5 and 3 right now. I'll put my own vote in there and make it 6 in terms of that, which means there's 3 we haven't heard from, which we don't need to, with a 6-9 vote. I don't mean that in a personal way. No, wait, I'm sorry if that came off wrong. If people are uncomfortable saying that now, that's not what I meant by that. No. Anyone that we haven't heard from of those 6, we're at 2.5 to 3.
I was in agreement with Ashley. Like, in my mind, I was thinking like 2.5, but if it lists off to the 3, I could live with that.
I can, so just to clarify, so right now for pre-K counts, if that position were to be done, that's on your list of things that you're looking at.
So the position that you saw there was our floating administrator who has partial responsibilities for overseeing the pre-K counts program. The elimination of that particular position does not mean that we're eliminating or disbanding pre-K counts.
That's what I wanted to make
That
sure.
stays in
Okay.
place. We would just have to figure out supervision
How
of what that would look like
navigate
moving
that.
forward.
Understood. I want to make sure of that because.
Thank you for
much like that-
clarifying.
yes, because that is a program we're really trying to step on the gas for. And I would hate to trip it up just in its infancy. The special ed worries me a bit because I hear from other parents and other aides in other schools, including Ringing Rocks, that there's a lot of problems and that teachers and staff are not happy. And so seeing so much of the special ed budget kind of get chipped away is a little concerning. So my limit with the right programs would have been a little higher than 3. I know it doesn't matter per se for a vote, but with the right programs for the sake of the staff and the students, to get those numbers down, to get them the help they need. The only one I was okay maybe seeing not there was honestly the drug counselor, because I do feel the other counselors would be more helpful, the psych counselors. So I'm fine with 3. I would probably initially set a little higher than 3 to ensure those programs thrived.
Yeah, thank you. And I really want to take the words that came out when people laughed. Your voice does matter, and that's true for each of us. And at the end of the day, it comes down to a vote, but
No,
your voice matters.
I'm aware of that. I just wanted to clarify that I was really trying, I was literally adding up the numbers of those programs and thinking, how do we save some part of this for the sake of our teachers and students without completely drowning out the constituents and overtaxing them as a resident myself as well, single income household, I get it. But it does concern me. I don't want to fall behind in curriculum at all because that will come back around for us. So I get all the juggling we have to do. So 3, I was going to say 3.5. She whispered 3.5 was kind of something I was thinking about too.
Thank you, Tanya. That's 8 of us. Is there a ninth
me.
voice? Yep.
I mean, I can't give you a concrete number because I got to sit down and figure out what percentage of the budget each of those items actually represents. But I have no qualms about going to 3 or 3.5, or heaven help us, maybe even as high as 4. I mean, we can't keep kicking these problems down the pike, and we don't want to abandon. I mean, the big ticket items here are the science and world language curriculum, but I don't know how much that actually helps on the whole budget. The floating administrator is a big ticket item. Middle school French, not such a big ticket, but something that I would be disappointed, but if we can't find a teacher, it really doesn't matter. It's a moot point. I would love to see us find a way to reduce out-of-district placements, but like so many things, that's beyond our control. So, yeah, I can't, at the moment, I'm pretty flexible. I don't have a top number other than 5.1 or whatever it is the state limits us to. 5.3. All right, well, I'll say 5.1 so I sound a little reasonable.
Thank you for your comments. I do want to address the concerns about special education. Yes, a lot of this presentation was around student mental health and special education needs. It obviously is an enormous part of the budget. The one thing that I want to be clear in is there's a new position that's in the budget So we have talked about this during Dr. Lucas' presentation about adding a special education teacher, ES teacher at Rocks to provide additional support and be able to restructure how we support our students with emotional disabilities. So we do have supports built in there, and that one we felt so strongly about, it's not even on here. So it's, at the end of the day, we just felt like we had to identify and kind of prioritize what the new positions that we were asking for and give you the voice that you deserve on weighing in to support or not. Is that?
Thank you. So it seems that this is first part of the discussion. The feeling of the board is between 2.5 and 3% for an increase. Two other discussions I was thinking of, there may be more you're thinking of. The third is to any feedback on programs that we can give so that administration can see where our advocacy lies in those programs. But before that, you, I think, received emails. I've received several with people asking about the surplus we had last year. So we had about a $4 million surplus, which was revenue we didn't expect. My understanding is that we've spent about $2 million of that with expenses we didn't expect. So there's this total surplus of about $2 million that I believe now is going into capital, or is the recommendation? Was the recommendation tonight. So the question becomes, I mean, and what we're going to be faced with as board members is a community member walks up to you and says, wait a second, you got $4 million more from the state than you expected. Granted, you spent $2 million, but you have $2 million of that. Why aren't you using some of that to offset the cost? Should we be, is the question. We can, and it doesn't have to be an ongoing cost. It could be one-time costs.
Don't we have some looming, sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Don't we have some looming capital expenditures coming up? I mean, as well? Looming capital expenditures on the horizon in terms of building maintenance, upgrades, et cetera?
You're absolutely correct. And that million or so, we should view as going into, was it capital?
Committed for capital.
Committed for capital. I forgot the term. But anyway, it's committed for capital, and there are capital expenses. You know, this is not the capital budget. This is not capital plans. This is, you haven't heard me mention the word football field or renovate the middle school or any of those items. That's a separate discussion. And we've got to keep them separate because otherwise you're deferring maintenance, and you know that's the ultimate no. I think we both are speaking the same language there.
Yeah, the concern that I raised, if we had not had that surplus, which we didn't expect, it wouldn't be in capital. So we're getting money we didn't expect. Granted, there's a logic to move it there. Are we going to support that?
Yes.
And are you willing to walk up then when the community says, why are you putting $2 million in a rainy day fund rather than using for current expenses? Can you support that?
The $2 million's a one-time win, and to spend it on ongoing programs does not make sense to me. If it's a one-time win, it should be used for one-time expenses. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean capital improvements. You know, we could get hit with the entire math department for the district quits, and we've got to go out and hire a whole bunch of new teachers. There's lots of like one-time events that we might need to fund out of that $2 million.
Bill, I appreciate your comment. I want to remind the board, purchase of a grand piano is a one-time event. Purchase
So
of musical
science
equipment
curriculum.
is a one-time event. Science curriculum is a one-time event. So while I agree with the logic, I have trouble going to a community member and saying, we're going to put the full $2 million in reserve because we don't want to spend it on ongoing expenses when there are a lot of one-time expenses in this proposed budget. I'm sorry.
I don't believe that the curriculum costs are one time. They're going to come up again and
Yeah.
again and again.
Yeah, your statement began with a misstatement that all these things are one-time events and therefore would be, I guess, eligible for dipping into the rainy day fund or something like that. And I don't think that's
No, I didn't mean to say, and I don't think I said they're all one-time events. I said some of them are, if you go through them. And I'm okay that we don't do that. I'm just trying to get consensus on the board of what are we doing with this 2 million? Are you comfortable putting the 2 million in capital? And are you comfortable then, you know, facing our constituents and saying this is a smart decision?
I'd rather see it in prudent reserves, but I don't think is that a thing for a school district?
You have a choice. You can leave the $4 million currently in the unassigned fund balance. If you do, I haven't done the math yet, but I believe that puts us over the 8% threshold.
Oh.
Therefore, we are prohibited from raising real estate tax rates.
That's what I was curious about.
So Jay, what are you asking of us right now? Okay, right now, we need to vote on the preliminary budget, but you're also asking us to vote on the committing the.
Well, we're going to be
the-
voting on that
right,
also. That's
I
also
understand,
on the
but right
agenda.
now, we need to discuss this budget right now and make sure that we have a vote on that and then worry about.
I'm okay letting it go,
the
actually.
fund
For me,
balance.
it was just additional guidance to administration. If we say to administration, go 2.5 to 3, and use 500,000 of that to apply to budget, rather than move it into capital, or use $1 million of that to apply to budget, or don't use any of it.
Again,
and go
we
there.
need to see the final numbers, though, before we can guide any movement of funds anywhere. We need to see what we're working with. Right now, it's a little fuzzy.
Yeah, I think what you're asking for is for a motion to set the tax, the rate at between 2 and 3.2 or something like that. I'm just picking out numbers because there seems to be a drifting towards 3.2. And make that motion, and we go on to the next item of business. Because I think, you know, we can love this motion to death, but what we have to do is come up with a decision and allow the administration to do its wonderful work.
I'm okay stopping with just a 2.5 to 3, if that's the feeling from the board. I mean, it really. we
you
all-
know, I'm willing
trying-
to
What
move
I'm
it.
trying to do is get as much feedback to administration as I can,
Mm-hmm.
as we can, of saying, hey, 2.5 to 3, and by the way, here's programs we really advocate, and by the way, here's how we suggest we use the surplus.
Well, I think the surplus is sort of a different issue, and I think there's pretty much a consensus here that the surplus is going to be put in, the million's going to be taken care of.
That's fine. Is that where everybody's at? Surplus goes into capital?
There's a vote, that is an agenda item.
Later on,
Yeah.
so I realize that, but just to voice my opinion. I understand the one-time cost part of it. I still think that the Science and World Language curriculum, part of it, the books and everything are a one-time cost. I understand that the fees, you know, for every year, you know, year to year, you know, online access and such might not be. And, you know, but, you're gonna, yes, it's still a one-time cost. We're buying a school bus, which we're gonna have to replace with one-time cost money. We're using that with capital fund for 4 buses or 5 buses now, and that's still gonna have to be replaced. So it's still.
The school buses aren't normally, it never occurred to me that school buses were a capital item, but
But it's
that's
a
the way you
one-time
do,
cost
that's the way you do the
that does
bookkeeping,
wear
so
down over
fine.
time, just like the textbooks, you know, and the curriculum that we're purchasing is also going to wear down over time and have to be replaced. So it's something to keep in mind there. But what I was going with it was that, not so much that, it's just that we're talking about all these programs, positions that affect students directly. And 3 months ago, we voted on spending $50,000 to find out how much it's going to cost to improve a stadium and buildings, which are going to be great, but they're not doing that's not depriving our students, where dropping these are depriving our students. That's why I'm thinking about, I mean, when we go to do a stadium, if we do decide to do that, that's going to be raising taxes. And people are going to say, well, we can use capital fund money for that down the road if we ever do that. And that's why I'm sort of still leaning towards the using some of it on this. Not all of it, obviously, but, you know, like Jay was saying, like 500,000 or so just to help offset some of this.
I agree with your sentiment. One thing I do want to point out when we talk about buildings or football fields or stadiums is over time, as those items continue to degrade, at a certain point in time, in my opinion, it does then start to impact the student experience. Yes, it's fine now. If the stadium, let's say, deteriorates, the condition of the field deteriorates, those become items that impact the student experience as well.
Everything impacts students.
Yeah, I mean,
These are going to prevent students from having certain experiences right now.
You reach the point where the economist says, in the long range, we're all dead. And that's the point. Everything's going to wear out. Everything's going to have to be replaced. And you're going to have to deal with it. And I don't know, well, the discussion, you weren't here. The discussion is that the track and the tennis courts are at the point where they're not usable. Now, you know, you want to call it a capital expense? I mean, I'm still taken back by the fact that buses are capital items, which doesn't strike me as being appropriate, but I'm not an accountant. He's making the money, and I'll do what he says. If we need a new bus, we better have a bus that moves, which some of them didn't. So, I understand. I understand that, but my point is, we've got to reach, in some point, we've got to reach a point where time works in, and us old guys are going to have to go to bed pretty soon.
So I don't know if there's a vote we should take now, just move on. We're going to be voting later on the movement of this.
That's what I proposed a half an hour ago.
And wait till we get there. The other point of discussion I wanted here, Dr. Finnerty is telling me that he believes he has enough for administration to move on with budget. Is there anybody that wants to speak for any of these programs in terms of, here's what I would cut, don't touch this? What's important to you?
I just have sorry. All right. Oh, I just had number one, a question, and just for guidance purposes, right? When we talk about advocating for some of these programs, when we talk about a limit, obviously in our tax increase range that we're all comfortable with or that we deem palatable. In the administration's opinion, obviously you've come back and you've kind of made some cuts because you had to get us into a certain range, right? Are there other potential avenues where if we add some of these programs back in that there are potentially other cuts you could see, or in your opinion, again, or is this kind of, are these the ones if we're going to cut?
So I think it's a fair question. So I think there's a certain additional level with the direction that we've given us today. There's a certain additional level of scrutiny that we could bring to bear on the costs. So like one example that we can talk about is, so if we're supporting a transition coordinator, we can take, all right, how does that actually reduce our contracted services costs with the IU? As we continue to negotiate the contract with pre-K counts, what does that pass-through look like? Because right now we have a certain amount budgeted. Is that right, or is it? So there's a certain level of scrutiny that we can bring with a finer and finer point to it as we learn more. Also, we may get retirements, we may get resignations that do impact, that do have a budget impact. So those are things that we can see. I think from an administration standpoint, we have clarity from the board on a range where we can work towards. We also have clarity on the board that there are valuable programs that were on those lists. So I think what we can continue to do is work towards that range, and again, identify some things that are on the line. And then that would give the board another opportunity to weigh in on what's important and where do we go. And still meet the time deadlines that we're focused with. Because the simple fact of the matter is every single year the state requires us to pass a budget before giving us any real idea of what we're going to get for 30% of our budget, of our revenue, which, I mean, that's unbelievable, but that's the position we're in every single year. I appreciate the discussion. I think we have enough. Ron, would you agree that we have enough to move forward to the next step? And we'll bring it up at the 2 May meetings, and then we'll have the final vote at the June meeting. Is that fair?
Thank you. Is anybody's sitting on with a certain program you want to advocate? We okay moving on?
I do want to say one thing. Right now, based on the conversation we were having earlier about the special education programs and what's going on in our climate right now and how certain disabilities are being attacked in the news right now, I think it's important that the community knows that when we talk about these, some of these special education programs and the extra staff, the REACH counselors, the drug and alcohol counselors that provide Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports, these are not helping only the students with disabilities. They are helping all students. They are also helping the staff so that teachers don't feel overwhelmed, because if they don't have this support, now they have to take that on. So all mental health programs, special education programs, they affect everybody, whether you have a special ed student or not. And I just think it's very important in the climate right now that I say that, and I just thank you for letting me say that.
Thank you, Anik. Anyone else?
In terms of programs, I look at the, obviously we know about our music program, the success there, demand. Dr. Finney mentioned increased demand there. That line item at $38,008, it sounds like a lot of money when you say it, because it's $30,000. It doesn't move the needle that much, I think, in overall budget consideration. So that would probably be something that I would advocate for. The other item, the special education teacher and transition coordinator. I mean, when we talk about the goal of the school district, right, it's to ensure outcomes for students. We want them to be prepared for the world when they leave here. And to me, that role is a valuable piece in terms of ensuring that outcome for those students, for those members of our population. So.
Thank you, Louis. Anyone else?
If I can make a suggestion, if anybody else has something that they want to advocate for, can it be done via email? We're getting pretty far into the meeting, and we still have a lot more to go.
My caution there, I go to legal, it's back to deliberation by
Yeah,
email.
I mean, it can be, if it's an individual board member communicating their preferences to the administration, that's fine, but you don't want to engage in an ongoing email exchange between yourselves, because that would be a sunshine law.
Correct. I'm just saying, like,
To Dr. Finnerty,
Right.
not
Right.
to the school.
Right, and
Right.
certainly not going back and forth on it.
correct. I'm just saying, if you have a preference, you have an idea, send it in, but no voting on it or anything like that.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you to the board for following my lead on nature of the discussion. I appreciate each of you sharing. I appreciate the challenges, too, in terms of that. The more we have these kind of open discussions, the more likely we are to reach some kind of consensus. You have what you need moving forward.
Yes.
Moves us to, and if no other discussion, then that was a discussion item. Agenda item 5, report of the superintendent.
Okay, just 2 quick items, please. So we're excited to announce that Pottsgrove School District is the recipient of Giant Feeding School Kids Initiative. We want to thank the Giant for a $2,983 donation. These funds were collected by the Roundup campaign at our local Giant, so please continue to support that in the future. These funds will be used to help eliminate hunger in our schools. Second item. Student Council Spring Donation Drive. So all those people interested in spring cleaning. Pottsgrove School District and the High School Student Council are hosting a spring donation drive from April 28th through May 9th. Let's help our Pottsgrove community and fellow friends. We're collecting and cleaning out our pantries and closets to help our community. All donations will benefit the Pottsgrove end-of-year open house hosted by Pottsgrove School District's social work team on May 21st of this year. Donations that we're looking for: cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, laundry detergent, food items, obviously non-perishable food items. Drop-off locations will be in vestibules located in the main offices of the building, Monday, April 28th through Friday, May 9th. Thank you for being a part of this meaningful initiative. And that's it.
Thank you. Moves us to agenda item 5, 6, I'm sorry, I looked like a 5 in my glasses. Receiving of accounts.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the high school student activities, middle school student activities, and cafeterias accounts for March 2025 for approval and file it for audit.
Move and second to approve high school, middle school, and cafeteria accounts for March 2025. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 7, Treasurer's Report.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report for March 2025 as presented and file it for audit.
Move and second to approve the Treasurer's Report for March 2025 and file it for audit. Any discussion? Those approve? Aye. Those, any noes? Motion passes. Agenda item 8, action items, personnel.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve 8.1 through 8.4.
Motion second to approve 8.1, professional staff retirement, 8.2, extending the school year personnel, 8.3, leave of absences for professional staff, and 8.4, support staff resignations. Any discussion?
Yes, just wanted to thank Kim Emery for all those years of tending to all 4 of my children while they went through the system. Sometimes more often than I'd hoped they needed tending, but she's been awesome the entire time and so understanding and a fantastic person as well as a fantastic nurse. So thank you, Kim, very much.
Same thing. She took very good care of my kids. We almost got to a first name basis, but no, she did a really good job.
I would like to say one time, way back when, I was in there for something, and she was taking care of my kids, and she mentioned to me that her own son, or daughter, I'm not sure which, was at home with strep throat, and she was very, very worried about her child. And I'm standing there thinking, and here you are, you're taking care of everybody else's kids, and your kid is home without you. And I just didn't feel that that was right. I thought that she should be home taking care of her own child. Just, you know, and yeah, she was always a smile on her face, always upbeat, and just could never have enough nice things to say about Mrs. Emery.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve 9.1, I'm sorry, 8.1 through 8.4. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Moves us to action item, agenda item number 9, committing the fund balance, which we had been talking about earlier. This a little over $4 million. Ron, for clarification here, I was confusing capital fund with moving it to committing it as opposed to uncommitted. Committing it does not necessarily move it to capital?
That is correct. The capital reserve fund is a separate fund set up by the municipal code. And yes, we are permitted to buy school buses using those funds.
So by
it's
committing
in the law that way.
By committing this, then, Ron,
But
we're
the
just
committing,
staying under this 8%
it stays in the general
limit.
fund, but it's now set aside for capital projects purposes.
Good. Any other questions on that?
So we would not be able to use even a small amount of it to help offset any...
You can. As long as it stays in the general fund, the board has the discretion to uncommit it if they so desire.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other discussion on this, then? All right, I'm asking for discussion. We haven't had a motion yet. I'm out of order.
I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I would like to make a motion that we approve 9.1 along with 9.2.
Motion and a second to approve 9.1, committing the fund balance, and 9.2, recommitting the fund balance, which is the Peasers money, different amount of money. Any other discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The motion passes. Moves us to 9.3, contract approval with Sweet Stevens, Katz, and Williams.
I'd like to make a motion, we combine 9.3 and approve 9.3 and 9.4.
Motion and a second to approve 9.3, the contract approval with Sweet Stevens, Katz, and Williams, and the contract approval for the nutrition group. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The motion passes. Moves us to 9.5, proposed final budget. We are not voting here on the actual numbers. Is that correct?
Well, you are as presented, but it's only proposed, and it's subject to change prior to final approval.
Thank you for that clarification. So we're voting here as proposed, subject to change. We have up to June 30 to do that. Administration has been given some direction around budgetary increase limits, and they will come back to us, so that the vote here is on the proposed final budget.
Correct. If there's a motion, Mrs. Grimm?
Ready? I'd like to make a motion, we approve 9.5.
Motion and a second to approve 9.5, the proposed final budget. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Action, agenda item number 10, education, student expulsions.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve 10.1 through 10.3.
Motion and a second to approve 10.1 through 10.3, student expulsions. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 10.4, the 24-25 contract with the Devereaux Foundation.
I would like to make a motion, we approve 10.4 through 10.8.
Motion and a second to approve 10.4, contract with Devereaux Foundation, 10.5, Lincoln Center Counseling Services, 10.6, River Rocks Academy, 10.7, Memorandum of Understanding with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, and 10.8, the Biology Boot Camp After-School Tutoring. Any discussion on any of those items? Those, yes?
I was just going to say, I just really appreciate the science department doing that, so this is.
Any other discussion? So we have 10.1 through, is it 10.1 through 10.8? Thank you. 10.4 through 10.8. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item number 11, miscellaneous items, voting delegates for PSBA. At our last meeting, Patty and Tanya spoke up and said they would like to represent the board as delegates at the Pennsylvania School Board Association 2025 Delegate Assembly.
I would like to make a motion, we approve 11.
Motion and a second to approve 11.1, delegates for the PSBA Delegate Assembly meeting. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 12, Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board update. Anik?
So since it's late and what I was going to read is basically here, I think we can just, you could read at your own leisure. Yep. And the public can read it too, because it's here, so.
Any questions on the MCIU update from what was sent to us? We need a motion here for approval?
Not for the update.
No, we do not for the update. Moves us to 13.1, Policy
I'm sorry.
Committee meetings.
Okay,
Minute meetings.
I'll make the motion, we approve 13.1. We're all getting a little punchy here.
I did actually have a question on the MCI, because you said it's available to the public, and it's actually not. And I was just curious, is there a reason why it's not? I don't know if it was just put in.
I thought, yeah, but I thought it was on, oh. Okay, I have it on
I mean,
mine.
it's just generic minutes, that's why I was just sort of wondering why it was. listed as administrative only.
Yeah, but I thought she put it in the agenda. Can that be put on there? Okay.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there was a reason why it wouldn't be public.
So the action here is to move that to public, and we're okay moving on with the agenda then?
Yep.
We need a second on that one.
Second. Or did I actually?
13.1 Policy Committee meetings. We have we have a second on that?
Yes.
So we have a recommendation and a second to approve the Policy Committee meetings of the March 25 meeting. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 13.2, Operations Finance Committee meeting report. Dr. Nippert.
Oh, bless you. Oh, well, it was short-lived.
Sorry, I'll make it quick. The last Finance and Operations Committee, we talked about the fund balance commitments, which we just voted on. We did some departmental budget presentations from Dr. Lucas and Mr. Voorhees for the Curriculum and Pupil Services budget. And then the last thing we talked about was having the Northchester Hockey League provide a donation to upgrade the deck hockey at West Pottsgrove Elementary. And that was our meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
Any questions? Agenda item 13.3, Curriculum Instruction Technology Committee report from April 15.
Good evening, again. I recognize it's nearly 9:30, and the majority of the board happened to be, in fact, be at the CIT meeting. But we did meet on April 15th. We had 3 agenda items that evening, the first of which was an update on one of our goal areas that was on co-teaching. So we shared what that work looks like, as well as where we're going for next year in terms of ongoing work involved in that. We also had an update on Springfield Psychological Reach. You've already heard about that this evening. Currently, we have 4 full-time clinicians in our K-8 buildings. Some information was shared about that, as well as what the commitment for funds would look like in terms of keeping that in place. And again, you heard that from Dr. Lucas already this evening. And then our third and final area of discussion is a continuation item from our previous meeting. That's personal finance, and Mr. Lappick and I are thrilled. We're now in decision-making mode, as opposed to just discussion mode. So as a reminder, we, effective with the 26-27 school year, per PDE, we're required to have a personal finance course that's offered somewhere between grades 9 and 12, and it needs to at least be a half a credit in value. The CIT has a whole bunch of, really collectively, us as a board, has some decisions that we need to make, many of which we already started with on that evening. So the first thing that we decided is we were going to call the course Personal Finance. Go us, that was very well done. We decided to assign half a credit to that course, and we decided that the class of 2030, those are our current 7th graders, would be the first class held to that expectation. That allows us to be in line with the requirement from the state, but also gives us time to prepare students and families for that new expectation that will be coming for our students as they enter high school. Moving forward, we need to make some additional decisions, some of which we wanted some additional feedback from our counselors, from the departments that are involved. I'll be returning to the May 20th meeting with that information, and then hopefully we'll be making the final decisions regarding personal finance. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
I just wanted to really thank the teachers that came in to show the examples of the co-teaching. That was really pretty cool. So,
thank you for recognizing them, and I know Dr. Lucas would want to do this as well, but our middle school teacher team spent some time putting together a video, and then our team from lower, that was Mrs. Vanessa Barnack and Mrs. Jen Leinheiser, you could hear how passionate they were, so thank you, a huge thank you to them. They're so passionate about doing this, but then on top of it, they're putting out their own time to come and talk about it, so a huge thank you to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 14, which is new business. I usually go right to left. We're going to go left to right. Let Louis start. As Louis begins, I want to thank you for being here. You saw his note. He was on a business trip on a plane, and he got here. Thank you. Any new business?
Thank you, and it's 9:30 p.m., so I had no new business anyway, but I'm even more enthusiastic about telling you all that I have no new business this evening.
Thank you. Jim? Thank you. Ashley? Thank you. I have two quick ones. One, I had the opportunity to join the PSBA school leadership Zoom meeting last week with other board presidents and vice presidents from throughout the Commonwealth. The one thing I wanted to say, I was amazed by the degree of conflict these people were expressing they have on their board. It left me walking away thinking that we have civil discussions here. I hope we can keep that going. We need to speak up, share our opinions, challenge each other, and that's possible to do in a civil way when you think about Kids for Peace. Some of the stuff people were explaining in this meeting was just downright ugly in terms of that. So thank you for your civility and for speaking up. Second, I want to remind everyone there is a town hall on fair funding that's coming up Tuesday, April 29th at 6 o'clock at the Tri-County Active Adult Center. If you have the time available, please attend. It gives us more knowledge about how the state goes about figuring out how much money they give to each school district in this Commonwealth and whether or not that is fair. Dr. Finnerty.
I want to welcome back, I understand they have crossed into a U.S. airspace, our 36 students and our 6 staff members who are on our first world travel abroad. They're coming back from Costa Rica. I don't know if you were able to follow the Instagram, but it looks like it was a wonderful experience for everybody, and I look forward to hearing them. They're coming back, I think they're stopping in Atlanta, and they'll be back here like 1 a.m.-ish. Yeah, so we'll see if they're in school tomorrow.
Kids, they can do it.
Yeah. But I do want to thank the board for supporting that. At some point, hopefully we can get some students to come here and talk about this, and hopefully they found it enriching. But thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finnerty. Vice President Bill. That was short. Patty.
I'll be quick. This is track season, and you know how I feel about track. Very passionate. So I wish all of our athletes good luck at Penn Relays. That is just a phenomenal opportunity to qualify. We also are hosting a 9-10 meet, the Charlie Yon meet, this Saturday, which is kind of cool because it's just 9th and 10th graders, all underclassmen, so no upperclassmen can compete there. So it really gives them a chance to blossom. And wishing all our kids fun at the prom.
Thanks so much. Anik?
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Tanya?
Yeah, so I'll piggyback. I was going to mention the fair funding next week as well. There will be representatives there, so if you have the time, please try to get to that. And also thanking the teachers and the principals who were at the curriculum meeting. Everybody was there working together for the co-teaching models, and it was really great to see. And Ron, I know it's a lot with the budget, but thank you for everything you're doing with the budget in such a short time. It's a lot to go through, and I really appreciate all the work you're putting into it.
Thank you, Tanya. Dr. Nippert.
Well, thank you. Just two things. Number one, I think the discussion, and you alluded to it earlier, the discussion that we had was mature, reasonable discussion, unlike what goes on at other districts. And we deserve at least a mild pat on the back for ourselves for being able to hold the kind of meeting with reasoned and good thought that, I got these cards today from a kid. And it says, oh, you are worthy. You matter no matter what. And that's what we were proving here in the best way possible. And we're dealing with a very difficult thing. And one last thing, and then I'll shut up. The last thing is this, because for 50 years, schools have been preparing budgets without knowing how much money the state's contribution is. And sometime when we're talking about fair funding, we also talk about fair timing. And that's the end of my lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Nippert. Moves us to agenda item 15, public comment. These can be comments about anything, whether it was on the agenda or not, again, limited to 2 minutes. Anyone in the room want to make public comment? Jeff, you look like you're trying to decide. No. Anything online? No public comment. Moves us to agenda item 16, motion for adjourn. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.